Hey everyone, we're going to try this again. Yesterday I tried to do a relatively quick overview of StoryMap.js and got totally derailed by attempting to, instead of using a map, using a image. And there were all sorts of issues. I'm not even going to go into it. If you're watching this, that probably means that that video was destroyed, never to be viewed again, not meant for human consumption. So we're going to go ahead and jump into some story map, but we're going to focus on using images. And I am recording this both as a walkthrough because there are very few up-to-date walkthroughs on how to do this, but also just as a record of how to do it because I was successful with it once last night at the end of the day and would like to give it a shot again. So I figured, oh, what the heck? I'm just going to go ahead and record this and just walk us through it. It's actually surprising that, Night Lab's tools are fantastic with excellent documentation. StoryMap has two features. One is, or two primary functions that I've seen uh, most often. One using a map, and you place images and media along this geographic line, or I shouldn't even say line. You essentially create we'll go over it in a second. Where you create on a map, you place media on the space, and so story map will create some sort of interactive um, digital essay that users can interact with the map and click on various points in that map and pull up media, text, all that good stuff, right? The other use is to use an image in the background, and that's where I've seen it most interesting. Like, okay, maps, I mean, story map is cool, don't get me wrong, but where I've really seen some cool stuff happening is where you take an image and you treat it as a map, and you have various points on this image, and the user can interact with it. All right, so it's pretty cool. Um, when you do the second version, when you use an image, it's much more difficult. So to make a story map, and I've got my to make a story map is pretty straightforward. So let's just say tour of Green Bay, whatever, tour of Green Bay, and so it'll start you off with this sort of generic map, and there's not a whole lot going on here. So let's say my favorite spots in Green Bay. Let's get simple. And I'm going to, because um, because I want to remind myself what I look like, I'm going to place an image in there and photo by kid, because he took that picture. And let's say, so this will be like the landing page, right? You'll get this. Now, what gets confusing at first, for myself included, is that you're kind of expecting somewhere like, okay, well, if I'm only looking at a certain region, I should be able to zoom in there. Now, that's not the case. What StoryMap does is it sort of waits for you to figure out all of the locations that you're talking about in your essay, and then it'll zoom in there. So if I say, let's start with this. All right, I'm gonna say Bay Beach, Green Bay, and not quite what I'm looking for. I'm gonna tell like Bay Beach is right there, I think. Okay, so we're gonna call that Bay Beach. And then I'm gonna add another one, and I'm gonna place it here. Let's see, Walnut Street and Green Bay. I'm gonna put it right here. And so in that image, I'm going to upload an image of a boat that I think I have floating around somewhere. I got a bunch of them. Go. right, so I got a boat. It'll work. So we've got a couple spots here. Let's see, where's another one? I'm gonna do, I think that's campus right there. All right, so I'm gonna add another one. Place it up here. Let's, in fact, Nicolay Drive. Okay, I know that's right over here. Anyway, so this is I think that's campus, right? Somewhere around there. And I'm gonna choose another image because I know I've got some of those up there as well. This will be the last one. Or do I? There we go. So we got an image there. And so I'm going to save it. And then what I get is, okay, UW Green Bay. I've got my, so if I go back to from the beginning, okay, so you see I'm starting with my images here, and it's going to only create a map that's, that encompasses those images. And then I basically go through, it'll zoom in. All right, so I got some text. There are a few options here. If I can go back to edit, a few options that are worth keeping in mind. So if I do cartography, I'm going to keep those lines in between the various points. If I just want to use an image, however, and I save that and preview it, okay, notice all of the images are gone, so I'm able to freely click. Now, what I don't like about that is that that sweeping motion when you're panning around it. But anyway, so that's the map version. Pretty straightforward. In about let's see, how many minutes was that? 5 minutes. Was able to put together a pretty simple project quickly. All right, so let's go ahead and get rid of that. This is the one I was working on yesterday and finally got it to work. Actually, even got an audio file to upload. This is where I was having a hard time, and I actually got this to work. Can't remember what's some Creative Commons licensed music, but was able to get through this somewhat. So I'm going to go ahead and give this another try, and I want to start a new one, and I'm going to call this the Tower of Babel. I think same image, but I'm going to go ahead and create a new one. All right, so here's where things start to get complicated. Now, when I first encountered this use of StoryMap, it involved gigapixel images. You could break it down using a plugin you could export it out of Photoshop, and it would create folders of tile that break down your image into tiles. It would put those into folders, and you could upload that to Google Drive, and everything was good. Well, a couple of things have changed. First, you can't use Google Drive anymore. That's no longer accessible. The other thing is there's no Zoomify export option in Photoshop. So we're going to go through a couple of the way I ended up doing it. Cut myself somewhere. And gross. All right. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to go to gigapixel. All right. And we're just going to leave that alone for now because there's nothing I can do with this. Where it starts to get complicated is when we start dealing with images and GitHub. All right. So now I'm going to go over to GitHub. I got my all my GitHub account. And I've done this a couple times to see my Bruegel from last night is there. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Can't remember anymore. Let's see. Here we go. Up here, repositories. And I'm going to say new. All right. Call it Tower of Babel. I'm going to make sure it's public. It's got to be public. I'm going to add a README file. And I'm going to choose a license. And I've seen most of these before, but I'm most familiar with Creative Commons. This is an older version, but unlicensed, never heard of that one. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and create my repository. And here we go. So this is what I need, this license, the README file. I don't know if that license probably isn't necessary, but anyway, so here is where things get a little bit funky. I'm going to open up my GitHub desktop version. Now, you can use the command line. I'm not even going to bother with that. So I'm going to let's see, how do I do this again? I'm trying to here we go. So this does not there's my um, repository. So I'm going to open this up and I'm going to choose. Now here is another one. The problem I was running into is that using my work computer, I was running out of space on the hard drive, which was preventing me from actually cloning this. There was no message, no nothing. It would just say that something about you cannot do that or whatever without any reason, which was kind of frustrating. So I'm going to go ahead and clone that. Everything's going well. I mean, I didn't even get this far last time, so this is already a win, right? So I've got my repository. Now I'm going to show those files in my Explorer, and sure enough, there's my folder. Okay. Now, all good so far. That's what we need from GitHub. We need a local folder that we can drop all of these images to, because you cannot upload hundreds of images at a time to GitHub, and you cannot upload a large file to GitHub. So, um, having the cloned repository on your computer with enough space is going to be crucial. Now, I've already downloaded this. This is a gigapixel image. You can see 30,000 by 22,000, so that's pretty big, right? So I've already downloaded that. As I can see here, showing my folder. There it is. Now, here's the other new thing. Because Photoshop does not have a Zoomify option anymore, I thought I saw a plugin out there somewhere, but I'm not even going to mess with it. I'm just going to go ahead and open up Zoomify and not Zoom. I definitely do not want that. All right, let's see if I can find that again. So now, again, because I'm running out of space on all of my my network computer or my networked whatever you call it. We essentially we have our computer and then we have this sort of networked. I can't remember what you call it, a console or whatever it is. Can't remember the term, but you're basically your desktop follows you around campus, right? So I run out of space on the. I tend to run out of space on that. Why am I using that on my office computer? That's just the way it was set up, and I've never asked to have that changed. So I have to find where that is, and I believe that is somewhere on my desktop here. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna send this to desktop. Okay, because I'm gonna use it again. All right, so now let's see. Probably can't see that. So I've got my Zoomify open. Let me open up my. There we go. All right, now all I'm gonna do is drag that image over to the little drop down there. Where'd you go? Okay. this on there. And this is going to take a little while. Actually, this one's probably not as big, so it's not taking as long as it did last time for whatever reason. So this is now in back in downloads. Hmm. This file, I don't want that. There we go. So unfortunately, I messed that up, so I gotta delete that. All right, let's try that again. In fact, I'm not gonna drop it on there yet because I don't want it to necessarily be compressed. Go. So now if I was smart, I would put this into, in fact, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna browse. I'm gonna find my um, let's see, where did that go? Ah, where's that? In fact, let's just go back to here. Oh, show and explore. There we go. So I've got my license and copy address. I'm amazed I remembered how to do that. Desktop. There we go. What is that? Tower of Babel. There we go. And I'm going to throw them right in there. Zoomify folders. No, there's no way that's finished already. Okay. All right, there we go. So I can see the folders are going in there. This is taking a little bit longer because I didn't compress it at all. All right, so already going, at this point last night as I'm figuring this out, I'm pretty stoked because the had not worked at all. You see the image populating there. We are in good shape. And now what I'm going to do is might take a little while. Nope. Amazing one. These big images, it doesn't take that long to do it all. So now I'm going to go back to GitHub. All right, so you can see that there's changes happening, and I'm going to go ahead and commit those to the main. Right. Summary, added image tiles. Right. I really do like that GitHub makes you add comments. Love it. It's probably one of my favorite things about GitHub so far. I don't not a power user by any stretch. I'm hardly an amateur even. Let's see. Da-da. So there's a little bit of a waiting game, but not too bad. All right, so we've got that's going to take a little while. So we wait for that. There is a little bit of waiting. Hopefully, because this is a smaller version of the image than I used last night, it won't take as long because it did take quite a bit of time. So here, while we're waiting, Zoomify, this is a paid version. I believe is about $30. And so, again, this is something that used to be in part of Photoshop, but now they have this standalone tool. There is a free version, which I was able to use, but had not had any luck with that. And because I figured I would get some use out of this, I went ahead and purchased the Pro version. Um, and it's been working. So I don't know. I doubt that the Pro version has any different function that would make it work better, but it's I'm not going to question it at this point. Pretty straightforward. There isn't a whole lot to talk about. There are some options here that I'd already gone over. I'm not sure what these different file formats, what their, um, what use those are. Uh, JPEG, PNG. Um, this would be helpful if you had a image with transparency, I imagine. So that would be pretty cool. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I bet you could do some. I wonder if you could what image types it takes. That would be something worth looking into because I could probably do some cool things there. Let's see. All right, looks like we're done. Looks like this has been fetched. Okay, pushing to origin. And waiting. So I think in the other video, which hopefully will be gone if anyone is watching this, it was about an hour, and had not gotten with the first 5 minutes of this video to this one was we accomplished more than we did in that first hour. Um, Once you get the hang of it, once you start, it happens. It works out nicely. And it's just a little bit of waiting. And again, this is an actually by 30 by 20 some thousand pixel image. Pretty large, but is by no means the largest. The one I was working with yesterday took even longer to work with, so I'm pretty happy that. Waiting. Okay. So now, if all goes well, I'm going to go ahead and close that because I don't think I need that. I'm going to minimize that because I don't think I need that. So then what I should have, if all is going well, if I refresh this, and there are all my tiles. So we're good to go. Now, okay, so I've confirmed that my repository has all of the images up there. I think that's pretty cool to me. I don't know. This is probably an everyday thing for a lot of IT slash programming slash comp sci folks, but for us tinkerers, this is pretty cool. All right. So we're going to go up to settings. And we're going to go down to pages. And then pages here, I'm going to have deploy from a branch. So again, pages, deploy from a branch. And I got none. I'm going to go to main. See, now that was another thing from the walkthrough. The walkthrough files on Night Lab's site is a little bit outdated. So fortunately, I know I know a very small, probably the smallest amount of, I have a very small knowledge about GitHub, but just enough that I can sort of clunk around and figure things out. But it said master, the master branch, and now it's main. I don't know if that's a change or when that difference or why that difference would even be made. Oh, I bet they changed the name of master because there was some issues with that nomenclature. So I'm going to save that. And then it's going to create this page. All right, so I should have a page now. Let me go back to, let's see, settings. So again, this is also going to take a little bit of time for the page to be created. There was a notice somewhere, and I can't remember where that is now. Back. I think this is something, it's going to tell me that in progress, pages build and deployment build. Okay. So that's in progress. That's what that means, right? So you just got to wait. All right. So it's going through all of this. A lot of little image files. So if I go to one of these guys, you see all of these, each one of these folders. So this is tile group 25 out of 53. And in tile group 25, let's see how many. Out of tile group 25, I have well over 100 images. Almost looks like 300. Each of those are duplicated for some reason. Okay. So that's a massive amount of files to, have to sort through. Amazing that with all the things you often forget with computational and network technology that you're able to do some of these things. Like I essentially grew up with this stuff, but I consider myself a tinkerer, but not even, I wouldn't even call myself an amateur. I don't have the discipline to spend time learning this stuff, but it's amazing to me that we have access to this level of collaborative tech. Pretty awesome. Right, so let's see. Still going. For whatever reason, this page itself seems to take the longest amount of time. And at some point, it'll just still going. So back here, we're at our got our waiting to go. Oh, that's something I should figure out. Go back to this. So now when I go back to this image, I want to find out when the original size is 30,000 by 21,952. 21,952. I'm not sure if this affects anything, but it was definitely one of the pieces of information I added when everything started working. So again, I'm not going to question it. All right, so here we have it, still going, 8 minutes. Again, tiling all of these images. So if we have so many images, right? So it's about sunset here in Green Bay. Um, Campus is essentially empty, which is kind of nice for recording purposes. Did a little bit of cleaning in the office today. Made some more space here. Did a PlayStation 1 sort of demo. Not even a demo. I was just trying to hook everything up, and it was a little bit messy on my desk. So you know what? What I'm going to do is I'm going to step away for a second, and I will be back. All right. Where am I? There I am. Blink. All right, let's see where we're at here. Pages. Looks like we are. Oh my goodness, it's still going. All right. Still waiting. That's a little too big. Still going. Surprised it's taking that long. I can do this. Small-ish. Sure, why not? There we go. All right, so now we can tell that everything is good to go because we've got your site is live at whatever. If I go to that, we're just going to get this, however, so there's not a whole lot to look at there. All right, I'm not sure why that is, but we'll go with it. All right, so I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to go over here. We've got our Zoomify URL, and this is the moment of truth. Oh, if this works, we are in good shape. Otherwise, we're in trouble. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and paste that. Again, I've got the dimensions of the image. I'm going to stick with cartography. Oh no. Gigapixel, Zoomify. That should be good. Add, huh. Of course, you go through all of that and it's not working. Oh, there we go. Ah, wonderful. So it just takes a while. All right. So we've got our options. All right, so I've only got my 1 point here. So again, it's only going to capture that. Now, let's see. In fact, let me wonder. That helps at all. All right. Do a. All right. All right, so we've got our now our how do we so we do this zooming thing. So gotta edit. It's frustrating is you can't get rid of this. Oh, the lighting for this video is pretty lousy, but I don't really care. Huh, let's see. So we get the story. Well, if I go back to what it was, I'm just surprised there's no. Okay, because there's no. Just there. You know it's there because there's our image. It's just doesn't make sense why. Oh, there it is. So just refreshing it seemed to help. So I could do this. I could move this over here. Pilgrims. And let's say I want to move this over here. What do we got going on here? What's some it's a little point of interest? See what's amazing. Look how far you can zoom in. And just the detail. Pretty amazing. All right, so we got our say our fishmonger is over here hanging out. Okay. So let's see. We're gonna save this and see how many. So there's a couple of things that I kind of wish maybe there's an option here that I could work with a little bit better, but it would be nice to know like where your images are. I'm gonna put another one up here, just so I can make sure I can use the whole image. Right, so yeah, if you remember the whole story of the Tower of Babel that made it so big, and it was like 7 stories tall, I think, something silly. I can't remember, but that was apparently too tall for God, so he busted it up. All right, so we're gonna save it. Let's give it a preview. Let's go back to the beginning. All right, so we got some weirdness going on here. Let's see if I can. All right, so yeah, maybe it's because it's a web-based thing. I don't know, but we've got this. We've got the map, and so if I start exploring, it's going to zip around, and we're going to go to all the different slides. So here we've got our pilgrims, and here we've got our fishmonger, and then over here we've got our God's territory type thing, whatever. So it's a way of. Um, so now you can see it's not so complicated. It just takes a lot of time to get all of the pieces in there. But once you've got it, it works out fairly well. Now, what would be really smart is uh, if you had your own image, making it large enough to use, but then putting this on a colored background so that it would blend. You would have no borders here. That would be kind of nice. And you can change that. So if I go to options, I'll change the background color. I could do like a blue like the sky there. Doesn't looks terrible, but whatever. Um, we got that artifact in there again, which is just really strange. That I wonder if these are the duplicates that I saw. There's something happening there. So at some point, maybe the image, it goes away when you refresh. So who knows? Anyway, all right. So that's StoryMap. It works. It works well when it's working, and we've got a working StoryMap now. It does take a little bit longer, but it's working, and I'm comfortable enough with the process that I could probably show students how to do it. So